pass it on, and I got rhythm. I got rhythm. I got rhythm.
Hello gentlemen and gentle ladies, my name is Sir Stanger, and today I wanted to go over some weapon concepts that I had for Spy. And I know that this is something that a lot of YouTubers have done in the past with Team Fortress 2 weapons. You know, they come out and they say some ideas that they have for Team Fortress 2 weapon concepts, and I kind of wanted to do the same. I have some ideas that I hope would be good. You know, maybe they're total bullshit, probably overpowered, but you know, what can you do? They're just concepts at this point. I also just want to preface this real quick. I don't keep up necessarily with the Steam Workshop and all the new weapon concepts they could put on there, and so I don't totally know if all of these ideas are completely 100% original, but they're all ones that I've had, so you know, they're original to me, but if somebody else has already come up with the same or similar idea, I apologize. There's definitely no intention there to be ripping off anybody else's ideas. If it does seem like any of my ideas are a little similar to another one, let me know down in the comment section. I'd be glad to go check them out, maybe give them a little shout out, go check out those weapons. But other than that, I apologize if I accidentally rip somebody off. So with that, let's get started. First up is a revolver concept that I've had for a little while. Nothing too complicated, it's actually pretty simple, but it would basically be something of a black box for the spy. Now, I will admit this is somewhat of a bland idea for a weapon, but it is also something that I feel like the spy sorely needs. He really needs some sort of self-sustain out there that would help him get more health out and about. He already has a couple different ways of getting more cloak and such while he's running around by shooting people with the Tranq, but this revolver concept would allow him to regain some health by doing damage to enemies. It's not a foreign concept to TF2, you know, obviously the soldier has it with his black box. I really feel like it would make a lot of sense for the spy since he has such a low health pool, and I think it would allow him to combat several enemies while he's potentially being pursued, such as if he's being followed by like a pyro or something like that. You can just start firing away at him, try and help regain some of that health, so that way you're not constantly just dying. You have a fighting chance against him. But on the downsides, it would also have a decreased fire rate and decreased damage at the same time. We don't want it being a direct upgrade to the stock revolver after all, and I feel like these would be pretty balanced stats for this kind of revolver. But if you disagree, feel free to let me know down in the description, obviously. Next up, we got another revolver idea, slightly more exciting than the last one, I think, but also potentially slightly more overpowered. So we're going to see if we can give us some balanced stats and make sure that doesn't happen. Basically, the idea is to use the revolver as a sort of grappling hook for the spy. Now, I know what you're thinking, and the grappling hook is kind of already implemented in the game. It's in the manpower mode, pretty much everyone has access to it, but it would be a little bit different than that, in that it would also have a cooldown, actually quite a lengthy cooldown, at a whole whopping 25 seconds. But it would also have some other drawbacks, being that it would have a slower fire rate. It would also decrease your maximum cloak, because this increased mobility should also mean you don't have to cloak around as much, or at least I would think so. So that would be the stats that I would put on this weapon. I also think that it's important that you can't disguise or be invisible while you're using the grappling hook, so you can't, you know, grapple right in front of a sentry gun and get away with it. That seems a tad bit overpowered to me, so I think you would have to be completely exposed while using it. But it would allow you still to get around a little bit more easily and maybe get to some areas that you couldn't normally get to, because I feel like the spy is sorely in need of something that allows him to be more mobile, and I feel like this might really do the trick. This next weapon concept is a knife, and I'm really excited about this one because this is one that I've actually had in my back pocket for a while. I hope you guys like it, but you'll definitely have to let me know, especially if you guys think it's balanced or not and what we could do to change that. So basically, this knife would be kind of a short-range teleporter for the spy, and what he would do is he would alt-fire, or, you know, probably the R key, whatever you would use for alt-fire. I'm not entirely sure for these weapons, but whatever you use for the alt-fire, you would use it, and it would throw the knife, and wherever that knife lands would be where you are teleported to. Now, it wouldn't have a super long range. It would probably be closer to about the distance of like an uncharged sticky bomb launcher. So like if you take a sticky bomb launcher and you just left click and it just shoots the sticky bomb, you don't charge it at all, that's probably about how far the knife would be able to travel. This is a pretty neat ability, and I feel like it could be a tad bit overpowered, which is why I think that taking away about a third of the spy's cloak, the max cloak, would be pretty fair. Since you'd be teleporting around, you probably wouldn't need it to get around as much. You wouldn't be relying on your cloak to get through certain, populated areas quite so much. So you could use that teleport to get you where you need to instead. So it would be kind of a trade, the cloak for the teleport. And also, I feel like that a good hefty cooldown, I just put 20 seconds on here, I don't know if that's long enough, but a good cooldown would be a good hefty cooldown, a nice long one, so that way you can't just be using it left and right. It's a tad bit overpowered to be using too much. Also, if you were to throw it while cloaked, which I do think you should be able to do, I think you should be able to throw this knife while cloaked, then you will lose 50% of your cloak when you land. So you'll teleport over to wherever it is you throw the knife, and when you land there, you will lose 50% of whatever cloak you had left. But you'll still be cloaked, so you'll still be spending cloak. So that's probably a pretty neat feature. Now, I feel like this knife concept has a lot of potential in a lot of different ways, and I'll tell you why. Well, for one reason, I feel like that the knife would be reflectable. So if a pyro was able to see the knife flying, then he would be able to reflect in whatever direction that he wanted. Obviously, it wouldn't like stop the spy from teleporting, but he could control where the spy would be teleporting. There would be probably a little smoke effect, both when you teleport away and when you teleport to an area, so you get like a little poof, little poof effect whenever you teleport somewhere. Unless you're invisible, then your poof effect when you teleport someplace would probably not be there. But also, I could see a lot of funny things where you throw it and you accidentally throw it into a pit and it teleports you into the pit and you die. I think that'd be pretty hilarious. There's also lots of trick stab potential, I believe, with this knife. Such as if you're being chased, you could throw the knife directly up into the air and attempt to land it directly behind the person who's chasing you. So that way you would instantly teleport behind the person who's pursuing you and be able to stab them then. Of course, that'd be extremely difficult to pull off and take lots of practice, but I think it would be well deserved at that point. It would make for some pretty awesome backstab compilations, in my own opinion. Obviously, this knife needs some tweaking. It's a pretty intense idea to be throwing into the game just all at once. But I feel like it would add a lot to the Spy gameplay. I feel like it would give a lot of versatility to Spy and allow him to get to certain areas where he wouldn't normally be able to get to. And I do think that it would be a really cool knife concept to have. I know I would have a lot of fun playing around with it, and if nothing else, if we could get on like a custom weapon server or something like that, it'd be pretty funny to see that kind of in action and see how that plays out with everybody else trying to fight against it. And before anybody asks, no, I don't think that the thrown knife should actually deal any damage. I don't think when you teleport somewhere, it should be able to telefrag anybody. There shouldn't be any really kill potential in the teleport aspect or the throwing aspect of the knife. If you were going to throw it and it was going to deal any damage, it should be like an insanely small, like 5 damage, something just really small, you wouldn't even notice it. But I don't think you should be able to backstab people from a distance, if that's what people are thinking. That sounds extremely overpowered to me, and I don't think that should be a thing in the game pretty much at all. And before we move on, can I just say, I do check the Steam Workshop sometimes for people and their weapon concepts to see what people are thinking that the Spy needs. And can I just say that if you're trying to put out a knife whose primary purpose is some sort of face stab or gives you a bonus when you don't backstab somebody, just don't. That is a terrible idea. Like, that is so bad, I can't even explain to you. And let me tell you why. Because there's no reward. You should not be rewarded for basically playing Spy incorrectly. You go around and is it an instant kill when you face stab them? That sounds awful. You get away with that maybe once, and then everybody else just kills you. That sounds like a pretty awful idea. Or I've seen some people say that when you miss a backstab, you get like a bleed effect on the person or something, and that's also awful. Just none. None of those things. Just don't do it. I completely disagree and oppose the idea of a knife with any sort of bonus for any sort of face stabs. It should be backstab only, because that's how Spy is meant to be played, and you shouldn't be rewarded for playing Spy poorly. That should not be a thing. Okay, sorry about that. I just saw a couple of those things online, and it got my blood boiling a little bit to see somebody trying to take Spy and simplify it down to nothing more than just like a Call of Duty knife class, and I won't have any of that. I just won't. So anyway, sorry about that. Moving on. So this next knife kind of draws inspiration from like those spy movies and stuff like that, where they have the pen that if you like click once, it's just a pen, but if you click it twice, it like shoots the end of the pen out, and it's like a bullet and it like kills people and stuff. Well, I kind of like that idea, but I thought that actually killing anybody with your knife like as a projectile would be way overpowered. So instead, I thought it would be a way better idea to have it slow down an enemy and maybe cause a bleed effect. Maybe allowing you to either kill the enemy, like so you can slow them down and make it so that way you can approach them and kill them, or you can stop them from killing you, so you can shoot the pen out and it will slow the enemy down to the point where they can't catch you anymore, but it would only last for 2 seconds, so it's not a very long slow, and it's not a very long bleed if it would do that either. But it would be a cool little either escape weapon or a way to catch up to an enemy. And I also feel like using your cloak to shoot the projectile would be good. So it would take about 50% of your cloak. In my opinion, that's how much you should take anyway, in order to fire it. So that way you're not, blasting it everywhere, because you do need your cloak quite a bit. And every single time you use it, you're wasting some cloak. So you don't really want to use it every once in a while. But it could be a neat little tool to have at your disposal. Nice little knife. I thought the pen was a pretty cool concept. The pen is mightier than the sword kind of thing. But anyway, that's just my idea for this one. I'm not super attached to the idea, but you know what? If you guys like it, take it and run with it. Maybe perfect the stats a little bit. I'd like to see where that one ends up. Now, I really wanted to toss my hat into the ring on some sapper and Invisilwatch ideas, but from what I've seen online, most of the things that I can think of have kind of already been made. So I've done my best to try and come up with some ideas, but I'm not even a particular fan of some of these. So if you guys don't like them, I don't blame you. Just doing my best here to try and come up with a sort of complete spy set, some new weapons for each one of his slots, if you kind of catch my drift. It's just an attempt to see if we can get a whole new weapon set out to him. So the idea behind this sapper is a pretty simple one. Basically, the idea would be you'd have a faster switch speed away from the sapper, so you could get to your knife or revolver faster to help deal with engineers. And you would also have a bigger health pool on the sapper itself, so it would take an extra hit or two to remove the sapper. On the downside, it would also not kill it as fast, so it would take about twice as long for the sapper to actually kill the sentry or the teleporter, or whatever it is you put the sapper on. But here's an extra stat on there. It would also have a 3-second delay after being placed on the building, where it cannot be detected or removed. So you put the sapper on there, and it's completely idle for 3 seconds. Now, the reason I put this on here was because I thought this would come in real handy when dealing with large engineer nests. So that way you could go around, and if there's like 3 or 4, engineers all stacked together in the same area, it can become kind of hard for a spy to do his job. So if you go around and you sap everything with this sapper in that 3 seconds, then everything is getting sapped. All of a sudden, everything's being sapped. All the engineers don't totally know what to do, then you can kind of already be in position to start dealing with the engineers while their stuff is being sapped. And it's kind of like a cool plan, like this was my plan all along, haha, kind of moment when everything is being sapped and they don't see any spies nearby. Obviously, they were sapped 3 seconds prior. But after that, if they kill you, they can, remove the sappers, just a couple more hits. It's not a huge deal, but it's a bit more of a tanky sapper. I thought that would be kind of a neat idea. One of the only problems I see with this sapper, if any, is that because it takes a couple extra hits to remove, it could be used during like an Uber push, something like that, and it would really kind of screw over the engineer because it takes so much longer to remove the sapper. That is something that I see as a potential problem with this sapper, but when it comes to making new stats for sappers, it's a very, very difficult thing, and there's a very brittle line to cross, as far as what will actually work and what is completely overpowered. So these are just some basic stat ideas I thought might work. Obviously, not all of these are balanced in any way, but just throwing some ideas out there, seeing what you guys think. Now, this last weapon is a little bit complicated, and it has a whole lot of stats, so bear with me. So, the basics of this watch are, while you're moving, you are constantly regenerating cloak, and also you do not blink when you touch an enemy. It has plus 100% cloak regen and decloaks 25% faster. Now, those are some huge upgrades from the stock watch, which is why it needs some huge downsides. So here they are. 10-second cooldown when you're out of cloak. So when you run out of cloak, you cannot cloak at all, and you do not regenerate cloak for 10 seconds. And you have minus 90% max cloak. So you have very, very little cloak, and you can run out of cloak very, very fast. So you have to constantly be moving to make sure that you have cloak all of the time. The second that you're standing still, you run out of cloak, and you will be caught by everybody, and you won't be able to cloak again for 10 seconds. As a little added kicker on the bottom, I threw in does not gain cloak from ammo packs, because I don't want you gaining any cloak from ammo packs during that 10-second cooldown. So basically, don't stop moving. As long as you're cloaked, do not stop moving. You will get caught if you stand still. even for like a second or two. So if you're using this watch, you just must constantly be moving. On the upside, though, due to the faster decloak, you can play a real good hit-and-run spy with this watch, in that you can run up right behind somebody, decloak super fast, hit them, and then just keep going. Like, you will not get caught because of how fast you are going and the fact that you are constantly invisible. You can go as far as you want on any map while cloaked, as long as you're constantly moving. And since you don't blink while you touch anybody, you can also avoid getting caught in a lot of ways that way, too. I thought that'd be important to throw in on there because you have to constantly be moving. I thought it would be unfair if you bumped into a bunch of enemies because there's just a bunch of people in an area and then you got caught for that reason. So I figured that'd be a good one to throw in there. This would be a super intense Inviswatch, and I think I'd be super stressed the entire time I'm using it, just trying to make sure that I keep up moving and never stop moving so that I run out of cloak. That'd be a pretty stressful time. Anyway, I don't know if any of these weapons are balanced, to be perfectly honest, and you probably wouldn't be able to know until you actually got into a game with them and played with them in pubs, and everyone got to try them out for themselves. So it's kind of hard to say, right off the bat. But these are some weapon ideas that I had and that I thought might be interesting if they were added into TF2. You may have also noticed that I didn't name any of the weapons I was talking about here. I'm not particularly great with naming weapons. I just like creating the concepts for them. If you have any ideas for the weapon names, feel free to leave them down in the comments section. I'd love to read them, see what your suggestions are. Or maybe you hated every single one of the weapons and you don't think any of them should even be considered a possibility for Team Fortress 2. I can't blame you for that either. Let me know down in the comments section if that's the case also. But, if you liked it, let me know. Just everything. I just want to hear your guys' input on these weapons. Maybe you guys have some weapon ideas that you guys want to have put in there. Leave them down in the comments section. I'd love to read those. And if you like this video and maybe you want to see me do this for a different class, let me know that as well. I'm all about your guys' input, and I'm constantly feeding off of you guys and using you guys for ideas. And I've made many videos just based off of suggestions from you guys. So please feel free, tell me your thoughts down below. I will be reading basically everything, as I always do. Anyway, guys, with that, let's keep the internet classy. I'll see you then. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello, my name is Sir Stanger. Hello,
can I have the attention of the internet?
My name
for
is
1 second.
My name is Sir Stanger.